Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Wide Shoes, and we're going to be talking about my top basketball shoes of 2023. Let's just get right into it. All right, so what is my 10th most favorite shoe of the year? It's going to be the Giannis Immortality 3s. I never thought I would say that. I absolutely despise the Immortality 2s, but the Immortality 3s are significantly different. Firstly, they fit my super wide and short feet very well this year. The lacing system was very good. The shoe was extremely lightweight and breathable. And overall, for $85, you just will not find a better shoe at this price point. Anytime someone is balling on a budget, the first shoe I recommend to them is the Immortality 3s. And as someone who used these shoes until they basically broke down, I would say that the shoe is just very reliable. And if you are a slightly smaller guard, I think you will be the perfect or best fit for the shoe. The shoe did struggle occasionally to deal with my heavier stature, but overall, I just had a great time every time I laced these up this year. And for that reason, the Immortality 3s are my 10th most favorite shoe of the year. All right, so my 9th favorite shoe on this list is definitely going to be the Jaw 1s. This is probably the most cool looking shoe on the list. I definitely got a lot of compliments when wearing these. And besides how good they look, they also perform very well as well. They're low to the ground. The traction works extremely well and is extremely durable. The shoe is stiff in the areas it needs to be stiff in. And by that, I mean it doesn't buckle under my weight. And the step-in comfort, lacing system, and overall fit of the shoe, it's a wide foot friendly shoe, was just really good for me. And I had a good time playing in these. I do wish they had ever so slightly more cushioning, but just throwing these on when I go outside or walking downtown in these where there are basketball courts was kind of how I used them. Just if I thought I might play basketball near the beach, that was kind of how I was wearing them. And overall, pretty good shoe. Can't beat the price for $110. It's a good deal. And yeah, not much else to say, but Jaw 1's good shoe. All right, my 8th favorite shoe are the Luka 2s. I really liked that these shoes were stiff, but had a good energy return system in them. I was able to kind of rock back and forth, which is something that I do a lot when I play basketball. I just felt very stable in these shoes. They are a little bit on the heavier side, but that personally does not bother me. And overall, the Luka 2s were actually probably my most fun pair to play in. They were bouncy. The cushion was just good enough. Traction performed really well. Materials feel really nice in hand. And the price, not too bad. I believe it's $130. And yeah, overall, the Luka 2s were just really consistently fun to play in for me. I really felt strong when I was doing step backs in them. And yeah, for those reasons, they're my 8th favorite shoe. And yeah, I'm definitely loving the new colorways that are coming out. And I would kind of keep your eye out for these when they go on sale and see if you can snag a pair for less than retail. All right, now we're going to be getting into my 7th favorite shoe, which is the Harden Volume 7. Now, the Harden Volume 7s were a very unique option this year. I really like them because they had the best step-in comfort of a shoe that I think I've ever worn on my feet. Maybe the Kobe 8s were a little bit more comfortable for me, but this shoe in terms of comfort is in my top 3 ever. The Harden Volume 7s also had a very flat and stable base. For me, that was really good because I am a little bit heftier these days, and they kind of kept me on my feet feeling secure. Ankle support was really good. Traction was really good. Basically, no real weaknesses in this shoe except for a little bit lack of lockdown over time. As I did say in one of my last reviews of the shoe, the lockdown does get a little bit worse over time because the materials expand. I do see that in the Volume 8s. It looks like they have addressed that issue by putting a cage around the shoe. But overall, the Harden Volume 7s, if you can find these on a discount and you just don't overuse them, they are a very good shoe. Very comfortable, and they look out of this world. I love how they look. And yeah, for those reasons, it's my 7th favorite shoe of the year. All right, coming in at number 6, the KD 16s were a phenomenal option from Nike this year. I know a lot of people may disagree with me putting them all the way up at number 6, not having them in the top 3, but it's because the KD 15s is in my top 5 best shoes ever. And the KD 16s took a huge step away from the KD 15s. These shoes were higher off the ground, significantly more durable, had half of a strobel unit in them. There was just a lot of changes that I personally didn't like coming from the KD 15s going into the KD 16s. But despite those changes being things that I'm not a fan of, the shoe is still a very good option. I also will say you should probably get a solid rubber bottom for your traction pattern. And if you do that, you'll be able to use these shoes as an outdoor shoe because the shoe is very, very durable this year, unlike the KD 15s. Personally, I found that the fit of this shoe was really good. The cushioning was really good. Heel to toe transition was really good. And I wore these to school every day and played in them after school pretty much every day with no issues. The traction still held up. So overall, the KD 16, great option, but they just went in a direction that I didn't like as much, which is why they're only my 6th favorite shoe of the year. All right, my 5th favorite shoe of the year is going to be the Wade of Wade All City 11 V2s. Now, this shoe should have been a lot higher. I had a lot of trouble finding a place for this on this list because everything about this shoe was phenomenal except for the consistency and traction. For whatever reason, I had a lot of issues with this shoe traction wise, except for playing outdoors or on courts that are kind of jagged, like tennis court material, basketball courts. Now, you might be saying, well, hey, if you had all this problem with the traction, why are they top 5? The reason why they're still top 5 is because everything else about this shoe was my favorite or close to my favorite of the year. So fit, shoe is phenomenal for wide footers. Comfort, step in comfort and materials used on the inside of the shoe, amazing. Durability, amazing. The drop-in midsole that's stitched in now for the All City line, amazing. Lacing system, amazing. Everything about this shoe, breathability, whatever you can think of was amazing. It just was inconsistent with traction. When this shoe would work for me, especially when I played outdoors, the shoe was just like almost a 10 out of 10. I love this shoe, but because of the inconsistencies in the traction, could not get it into the top 3 or the top 1. So my 5th favorite shoe of the year is going to be the Wade Wade All City 11 V2. And I would like to say before I end this, for $150 on paper, the materials that Li Ning uses and the actual technology they put in the shoe is better than all the shoes on the list for the most part. You are getting what you pay for from Wade of Wade. And I do just got to give them a bit of a shout out because their shoes are complete. Their shoes are good. And yeah, they just fixed that traction issue. The shoe would have been number 1 or number 2 on this list. All right, so getting into my 4th most favorite shoe of this year, it's definitely going to be the LeBron NXXT Gens. Now, these shoes overall were great. They're super low to the ground. The cushioning setup is amazing. They don't feel like a Kobe like everyone says, but they feel like Kobe's cousin, like Froby, or just like, it's like I can feel a little bit of Kobe in there. Like, I'm kind of like, come on, shoe, just a little more. And I will say the shoe also desperately needs a shank plate. The reason why this isn't in the top 3, the reason why it's the 4th favorite shoe of the year is just because due to the lack of the shank plate, the shoe became more flexible over time and it started to buckle under my weight. But when this shoe was new, when it was stiffer, and when it was completely safe to play in, the lacing system, the low to the ground, the cushion, the materials, the way the shoe looks, the way the shoe smells, the way the shoe performs, it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, this is one of my favorite shoes I've ever worn, period. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to buy 5 more pairs of this and just stop my reviews and just only play in this year. But again, it just has such a weakness because when you break this shoe in too much, when you overuse it, it just becomes super flexible and it loses a lot of safety. Like, the shoe will just buckle under your weight. So the LeBron NXXT Gens, great shoe. I would highly suggest if you're going to buy these, just buy them if you're in a league and you play like every Saturday, or wear another shoe to practice, and on game day, wear these, and then buy another pair on sale. Because when you burn through those pair, you got to put on a new pair because you do not want the extra flexibility that the shoe provides. All right, so now for the most important part of the list, the top 3 shoes of the year. My 3rd favorite shoe of the year is the Wade 808 V3 Regulars. Now, I haven't finished filming a review for these. A few of the shoes on the list, the rest of the shoes will not have reviews uploaded yet, but I will throw up whatever footage I can of these. These shoes were really, really interesting. They have a drop-in midsole, and they are very similar to my favorite shoe of all time, the Kobe 8s. Now, these are not a Kobe 8. They're a little bit stiffer, but they are low to the ground, super stable, have that drop-in midsole feel while also being stiff, great lacing system, and are pretty budget-friendly as well. So overall, the 808 V3 Regulars are shoes that I would wear when I really wanted to play like as serious as possible. I will say they could be a little bit more cushioned, and because they are not the most cushioned shoes, I tend to wear these only when I'm gonna play like one-on-one with my friend or play like 2 or 3 games and go home. I don't use these to practice basketball in, but for a pure performance shoe, these are really, really good. The traction, the durability, the materials used, and what they actually put into the shoe on paper, like the actual spec list, is very impressive. So if you were gonna buy a shoe for game day, I would pretty much almost always suggest the Wade 808 V3 regulars. All right, so what is my second most favorite shoe of this year? It's going to be the GT Hustle 2s. These shoes are extremely low to the ground, extremely flat, and have a very, very unique full-length stromal unit that doesn't seem to be really attached to anything. So you get this kind of squishy and in the nicest way possible, like a nice cardboard compression feeling in the shoe. It's kind of like what an Air Jordan 1 would be if it was modernized, and everything about this shoe just worked really well for me. The lacing system was great. The lockdown was great. The traction was great. And in my video before, I talked about how I began to wear these to school because the nubs would prevent the traction from getting all gunky when I was walking around school. So I could just hop onto the basketball court after school with no issues. And I will say though, the one glaring weakness in this shoe that held it back from being number one was the durability. There isn't a shank plate or really anything to prevent the shoe from buckling, but I had no issues with buckling in this shoe. I do think that's just due to how low to the ground the shoe is. But overall, this shoe, if you can get it on discount, is a really, really good option. I wore it pretty much every day. I wore it till the nubs on the bottom fell off, and it was a really new and interesting shoe experience. And for that reason, it's the number 2 on my list. All right, controversial take incoming. My number 1 favorite shoe of this year is the Way of Wade All City 12s. Now, as I said in the 5th choice, the Way of Wade All City 11 V2s, I said, if they can just fix the traction issue, this could be my favorite shoe of the year. Well, the All City 12s fixed the traction issue, made minor improvements across the whole shoe, and you basically just got a better All City 11 V2 in the Way of Wade All City 12s. So this shoe is my favorite for a whole list of reasons. I have not filmed a full review, so the footage will not be amazing for these. I apologize for that, but I've only been wearing this shoe for about 1 to 2 months, and every single time I've played on it, the traction's been consistent, the traction's durable, the materials used are really nice, the shoe is very wide footer friendly, the lockdown's amazing, the lacing system's amazing, just everything about this shoe for me was amazing. Like, there is no weaknesses of this shoe. I really enjoy it. I can play in it all day because the cushioning is really good, but I'm also low enough to the ground and can go as hard as I want in these to where they are a performance shoe as well. So not only is the cushioning good enough to play 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of 4-on-4, 5-on-5 basketball, but the shoe also performs like a pure performance shoe. These things are just beasts, and I really, really like them, and there will be a full review on them, and they're definitely my number 1 recommend this year. I know they just came out, and I tend to like to wear my shoes longer, but just because I've had no foot pain, no cramping, no inconsistent issues with the shoe at all, I feel like I can already recommend them. They are my favorite shoes so far, and it was just really good to end the year on a pair of shoes that were good in every category. And these definitely are in my top favorite shoes of all time. All right, that's the video, guys. I really appreciate you guys for watching and trusting me. My New Year's resolution is to definitely get more reviews on this channel. I was very sick the last month or so. I just have not shaken this flu off, but I promise new shoes on the way. Let's try to triple the amount of videos I do this year. And again, thank you so much for the amazing year. We've almost got monetization. And yeah, let's just pump out some reviews, and I'll see you guys soon.